So now we're going to look at what to do when we graph an absolute value inequality. Okay, so this one has the absolute value symbols. So the rules that we just used for graphing linear inequalities are still true and still the same. We just have to graph a little differently because we're dealing with an absolute value inequality. But the first step is to solve for y. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to move the 1 to the other side first. So I'm going to get negative y is greater than the absolute value of 2x minus 1 minus 1. Now, you can't have a negative variable because remember that means negative y, negative 1y. So I have to divide by a negative 1 to get my solution. Now, that's going to make the sign flip, right? Because anytime we divide by negative, the sign flips. But look carefully. This is an absolute value. I'm not going to change the sign on these because they're inside absolute value symbols. There's understood to be a coefficient of 1 in front of the absolute value symbol. So when I divide by negative 1, that's just going to make the absolute value switch to a negative. That's all that that's going to do in front. And then negative 1 divided by negative 1 is positive 1. So here's my inequality. Now remember, this is like any of the absolute value functions that we did. Now this is a linear inequality, it's an absolute value inequality, so we're going to have to shade. But I'm going to, in terms of graphing it, I'm going to graph it like a V. Okay. Now the first thing you need to remember is, in this particular case, because there is a slope, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to find the vertex. The vertex is located at the opposite of B divided by m. Well, b is negative 1 over 2, and then c is 1. So that's going to be my vertex. So the opposite of negative 1/2 would be positive 1/2, 1. So when I graph that, I'm going to graph that in a little bit of a different location. So in this case, I'm going to come make my vertex at 1/2, 1. So that's going to be halfway between 0 and 1, and then right there. So up 1, there is my vertex, okay? Now, let's talk about the slope. The slope is 2x, but remember, if there's anything in front, it gets multiplied with that. So the negative 1 times the 2x makes the slope equal negative 2, or negative 2 over 1. So the slope is going to fall, and it's going to be down 2 to the right 1. So I'm going to count from the halfway mark. That's the only tricky thing about this. So I have to go down 2, and then over 1 would still be halfway in between. All the points are going to be halfway in between because I began with a vertex that was halfway. So again, down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1. And then same thing in the other direction. Down 2 to the left 1, down 2 to the left, down 2 to the left, down 2 to the left, down 2 to the left. And now I'm going to go ahead and put in a line, but what kind of line do I need? You have to go back to the symbol. The symbol is now a less than symbol, and it does not say or equal to. So that means that the line is going to be a dotted line. Now I'm going to go ahead and make it and I'll make it the other way. And then I'll just go ahead and draw the arrows on the end. And now I'm going to make it dotted because it does not include the solutions on the line. Okay, so it's a dotted line now. Now I have to worry about the shading part of it. So let's see what the shading is. This time, it is a less than symbol. Less than would fall below the lines. Well, there's two lines. There's a V. So that means it's going to fall in the region that is between the two lines below. It's below the graph. Now, if it was a greater than symbol, you would end up shading all of this region around here, okay? But this one's not. This one is a less than, so it's going to fall below, okay? Okay, so now in your notes, well, let me come back. I'll do another video to discuss how we are going to look at a graph and make its inequality.